Well, the trade deadline is now officially complete. However, there were still some moves that were made during the trade deadline, and one of them was a little bit of a shocker for my Red Sox. And it was that the Red Sox traded Christian Vazquez to the Astros for Enmanuel Valdez and Wilyer Abreu. So for all the Red Sox fans out there that are a little worried about the Christian Vazquez trade, well, guess what? Right here on Bleacher Brawls, Wednesday's our prospect pipeline day. So we are going to cover the two prospects the Red Sox received in the Christian Vazquez trade. Enmanuel Valdez and Wilyer Abreu. It's going to be a fun one. So let's get straight into it. This is the Enmanuel Valdez and Wilyer Abreu prospect pipeline right here on Bleacher Brawls. My name is Derrik, and let's get straight into it. So now, first of all, a lot of people might look and go, how come you're getting the number, I think it was like 27 and 28 guys in the Astro system or whatever, or 28, 29, something like that. And the MLB pipeline slotted them 28 and 29 in the Red Sox system. One, don't believe that MLB pipeline. They don't update their system rankings during the season. So don't believe them. On Baseball America, Valdez is number 12 and Abreu is number 21. That's more reliable. But also too, you could go, well, the Astros don't have a great system. There's a caveat to that, and there's a reason why their system isn't ranked necessarily well, but they still turn out a lot of good players. And I think it has to do with who they go out and get. They're a lot of times, and you've seen it with some of the pitchers they brought up. They're not afraid to get guys with high floors, and got a prospect that be considered high floor, low ceiling. And these two guys are both those kind of guys. And Valdez and Abreu in a sense. They both be more considered high floor, low ceiling, I guess, in a sense, because Valdez doesn't really have a positional home, and Abreu doesn't have like a standout bat or whatever. But you look at that, like look at the Astros and guys they brought up in recent years. Especially from the pitching side though, with Framber Valdez, who was a little bit older, and Christian Javier and Luis Garcia, and they've been very good at getting older prospects and developing them and getting them through the system and turning them into good MLB players. And this is a big thing on the ESPN broadcast about how the Astros pitching and how they get a lot of guys to sign them as when they're older and they develop them. Well, guess what? The Astros seem like they do get a lot of high floor guys. Maybe not the highest ceiling, but they can still turn them into guys who have very high ceilings in the big leagues. As they develop them, and this is kind of how I look at this trade. You're getting two prospects. They're both 23. One's in AA right now. One's in AAA right now, and I think they can both be big leaguers. Do I think they're both going to be all-stars? No, I don't. I don't think they're both going to be all-stars. But I think they could both be solid big league players. And that's kind of what you're asking for. You're not asking them to be world beaters. You're just asking them to just be solid big league players at the end of the day. That's the hope from this. Valdez, his grades on MLB Pipeline are 50 hit, 50 power, 45 run, 45 arm, 45 field. Whatever. MLB Pipeline, I just don't really trust at this moment because they don't upgrade their stuff. But he's played 82 games between AA and AAA. Overall, he's hitting 327 with a 410 on base and a 606 slugging. He also has 26 doubles and 21 homers for 77 RBIs. 82 games, 76 strikeouts, so not great. But he does have 45 walks. In AA in 44 games, it was a 357 average with a 463 on base, 649 slugging. And that was 11 homers and 16 doubles in 44 games. In AAA, slow down a little bit, but like it's a jump up to AAA. Your stats probably aren't gonna be as amazing as that. 296 average, 347 on base, 560 slugging for a 907 OPS in 38 games in AAA, with 10 doubles and 10 homers for 32 RBIs. 11 walks in 38 games isn't great. 29 strikeouts. So maybe you want to fix that, but like the ability to hit for a decent average seems like it could be there. Getting on base a lot. Maybe probably like to get him on base a little bit more, but you're okay with it as of right now. Slugging percentage is good. He's getting a lot of doubles. He's a lot of homers. He's truly a bat first guy. He's not. He doesn't really have a defensive home. He's played first, second, third, left, and right in the minors. Doesn't really have a defensive home. At Fenway, he can't play right field at Fenway. So his real options are, and he can't really play first because they have Cassis long term. Can't play second. They have Story. Can't play, and they also have Nick York coming through the system after Story. Trying for Story at second base. Then they have at third. They have Devers. Left field right now they have Verdugo, which who could move to right, but do you really want to play Valdez in left field? I don't know if they do. He might end up just being a DH, but his bat's going to carry him to the big leagues wherever he finds a home on the field, whether it's on the field or at the DH spot. His bats should be able to play. He's going to be a bat first guy. His bat should carry him to the big leagues. You're not getting much else other than a bat. Not great offensively. Doesn't, like I said, doesn't really have a home. But for him, he's a bat first guy, a true bat first guy. And that's really what you're getting out of him. You're getting a guy who just rakes. You're getting a guy who's going to hit. Well, obviously, we don't know how it's going to translate to the big league level yet, but overall, you're just going to get a guy who hits. We go to Wilyer Abreu. MLB Pipeline has his scouting grades at 45 for the hit, 50 power, 50 run, 55 arm, 55 field. He's solid defensively, looking more like a corner outfield at the end of the day. He's in Double-A right now. This year in Double-A, with the Astros, 249 and 89 games, 249 average, a 399 on base, so basically a 400 on base, a 459 slugging for 858 OPS. It's 15 homers, 24 doubles, also 23 stolen bases. Now in 89 games, he does have 108 strikeouts, which is somewhat similar to his numbers last year with 99 strikeouts in 82 games. But here's the big difference. Last year, he only had 38 walks in 82 games in High A. This year in Double A, in 89 games, he has 78 walks. That's a massive difference. He's getting on base a lot more. Like, his on base is basically 400. It's 399. It's 400. I'm calling it 400. Okay? So, yes, he's hitting 250, essentially. 249, we'll say 250. He's hitting 250, but he's got a 400 on base. He's getting on base. So I think that's the big thing. Now, will that be able to continue? That's the big question. He does give you a little bit of speed, and gives you some power. With the 24 doubles and the 15 homers, getting on base a lot. Yes, there is high strikeouts, so there's that kind of caution, and it's his first year, getting on base, drawing walks like this. But it seems like he's kind of developed a good eye for the plate at least. Which, if that can continue, that's a massive plus. And he'll be able to stick in the outfield. Probably ends up in a corner. Most likely, but you're fine with that. And the Red Sox desperately just need outfield prospects because now Duran's not really a prospect anymore. So now, like, your next best outfield prospect is Don Rafaela, and I love Rafaela. It's my favorite prospect in the system. But he's not originally an outfielder. He's originally a shortstop, and he still gets some games at shortstop. I think he still plays shortstop once a week. So that's like, okay, you don't really have a true outfield. I know Rafael is still amazing defensively in the outfield. I'm not saying he can't play the outfield. He can. But what I'm saying is that they don't have a guy who's actually like or been an outfielder the whole time in the high minors who's a legitimate, actually like a prospect. And now they're really getting one. I know he's in Double-A, which is, Triple-A, they don't really have a prospect in the outfield. Double-A, like, you have Rafaela, who's your best prospect, and now you're getting Abreu. In High A, in Low A, you got a couple guys, but it's still not much. Your highest ranked outfield prospect is Miguel Bleacher, and he's in rookie ball. So you take from that what you will. Obviously, Bleacher, I think he's a very, very exciting prospect. The one interesting thing is when the Sox prospects top 60 comes out for August, because they're waiting, obviously, because they've got to get the new guys in and get looks at them and see where they fit into the system, see where they fit into the rankings. But once they get the rankings out, it's going to be interesting to see kind of where everyone slots in, where all the new guys slot in to the system. And obviously, I mean, they only have to take out Jake Groom, but it will be interesting to see, okay, where do some of these guys slot into the system? Um, I would expect Valdez to be somewhere in the. I wouldn't be surprised if he was in the top 20, maybe even reaching towards the top 15. Um, just because he's been so good with the bat. And Abreu's probably pushing for the top 20, I would think, actually. Um, maybe not. We'll see. We'll see how they view him. But that's kind of going to be the interesting thing for me, was where do all these guys slot into the says Red Sox fans. If you haven't checked out Sox prospects, they're the most trustful source on Red Sox prospects, in my opinion. So check them out. Yeah, MLB Pipeline, they don't update their system rankings like ever. Like they do it, I think, in the off season. Maybe they do it like once per season. But they haven't done it all this year, so I don't go on their rankings. But yeah, this is this system. They're adding these two guys to the system, which is I think they both have bright futures. I think they both could be solid MLB players. Obviously Valdez, you're getting a bat first guy, not necessarily much else. You're not getting a big speed guy. You're not getting much of a glove or an arm. He's really just it's gonna be his bat, and his bat's gonna carry him. If he keeps on hitting, there's no limit. If he just hits, if he hits and continues to hit, his bat will play. Now for Abreu, like saying 249 in Double A, not great, but the on base looks very good. If he can get a few more hits here and there, added on to the doubles and home runs that he has with the walks, and if he can, not even that, if he can just lower the strikes, I think if he lowers the strikeouts, maybe he'll get more walks or maybe he'll get more hits. I think that would be great. I think that's kind of the next step for him, lower the strikeouts a little bit, and if he can do that, the future's looking bright for both these guys to at least become solid players. Like I said, I don't think either of these guys are going to be stars. Maybe one of them will turn out to be a star. I think the more likely case is they could both be solid MLB players. They'd be good role players on a team. Every team needs those guys. And by role players, I don't necessarily mean bench players. That's not what I mean by role player. Role player could be a bench player, but it could also be a guy who's maybe he's your starting. I don't know, left fielder. I'm just naming a random position. I don't know. Maybe he's your starting left fielder, plays every day, but maybe he's like in the 7th spot in your lineup. But you trust him to go out there every day and do his job. And that's what I think you're kind of looking for. You're just looking for guys who you think can become MLB players and, be good players for your team. And I think both these guys kind of fit that mold, especially what the Red Sox have looked for. They look for guys who they look for guys who have a skill, right? You look at with the Renfroe trade, they got Bradley back, they got Benelis. His big skills, kind of his hitting, his bat, kind of the power he brings to the table, I would say. David Hamilton, it's the speed that he has. His big tool is his speed. You look at, this trade, Valdez, his big skill is his bat, his hitting, his ability to get hits and to hit for power. And Abreu, it seems like it's his ability to be able to draw walks and get on base. At least he's shown that this year, so it looks like the Red Sox believe that can continue. So it's very interesting to see. And they both bring, and even Abreu does bring some power to the table as well. And he also has a little bit of speed to add on to it. So yeah, it is very interesting to see where these guys will slot into the system rankings. But overall, I think the Red Sox did a very good job on the Vazquez trade, getting these two guys. I'm very excited for both of them. I'm very excited to see what they do once they get into the system and get into some games and really get going. I'm very excited to see what they can do. I think I'm very happy they got both of these guys for Vazquez. Obviously, getting rid of Vazquez hurts, but I like both of these guys. I do really like both of these guys. I think that both of them can make an impact at some point, someday, at the big league level. I mean, not every prospect pans out. Maybe one of these guys doesn't. Maybe they both don't pan out. But for projection's sake, I think these guys could both, make, especially Valdez. I think Valdez could even be in the big leagues as soon as 2023. So yeah, very exciting future. I think very exciting future for the Red Sox, and they're adding to it by bringing in two guys like this, who, they're not going to be the top prospects in the system, but they're going to, help get more depth in the farm system as well, and make an even better farm system. So that's huge. Um, and yeah, I think it was a successful trade deadline for the Red Sox, and part of it is bringing in prospects like these while also being able to go get out and get guys like Pham and Eric Hosmer. I think that's kind of might have been the plan the whole time, actually. You know, buy where buy where you can, sell where it makes sense. And that's why the Red Sox didn't trade Evaldi or JD. They didn't feel like prospect returns made sense for them to sell those guys. But they got rid of Vazquez. They get these two guys back. It shows you how much they must have liked these two guys because they were willing to trade Christian Vazquez for them. But that's gonna wrap this thing up. Wrap up this prospect pipeline. Might have gone a little long, but I truly am excited for both guys. Plus, it's a we're covering two guys here. But I'm very excited about the both of them. Make sure to check out all the links in the description, the Bleacher Brawls website, podcast, Instagram, and Twitter, as well as all of the crew's Twitters. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell right down there so you get notified when we're posted. We just put up a bunch of trade deadline content. We will have Thursday, August 4th. So tomorrow, if you're watching this the day this goes up, we will have a Red Sox trade deadline recap. And then on Friday, August 5th, we will have a Yankees trade deadline recap. We're gonna have some fun with both of them. We're excited. We're excited to get to cover the trade deadline. It's gonna be fun. And yeah, thanks for tuning in. My name is Derrik. I'll see you next time.